Hello, 7th graders, and welcome to your first online classroom. Today we'll be doing just a hairpin of English. We'll be looking at a little bit of grammar. Our next grammatical section that we'll be looking into is adjectives and adverbs. If you're looking to follow along with me, hopefully you can open up your books to page 451. You have your note packet somehow available for you to edit and or write on, and you are ready to go so that we can learn about some adjectives and adverbs. Hopefully this is not anything that's too brand new to you, because this is something that we have discussed before. Today we'll be just looking a little bit more into the idea of adjectives and adverbs. Here we go. First, today we will talk about something called an adjective. For the definition of an adjective, all I want you to write down is that the adjective describes a person, place, thing, or idea. Now, that should be pretty familiar to you and actually seem relatively simple because that's a definition for something else. And you're going, Mr. Hahn, I know exactly what that's a definition for. And I'm telling you, yeah, you're right. That would be the definition of a noun. Now, it can sometimes, an adjective, as much as it does seem like it just describes a person, place, thing, or idea, which would be nouns, it can describe a pronoun sometimes as well. Let's look at this little example sentence here and see if we can analyze it a little bit. It says, the intelligent, insightful teacher was also benevolent and quite impressive. So what we would do is we look through the sentence and we are looking for any words that would describe a noun. Now, in this first part, we have the words the, intelligent, and insightful. And every single one of these words, if we look at it, insightful is telling us about that teacher. The word intelligent is telling us about that teacher. And the as well is actually telling us about that teacher. Now, the word the is something that we call an article. We will talk more about that later, but just wanted to note it for now. We also notice that we have some other describing words in here. We have the word also. Also is describing benevolent. What is benevolent in the sentence? That is a difficult question. We look at the word benevolent. Benevolent is telling us about that teacher, which means it's an adjective. Now, if we have the word also here, also is describing how benevolent he is, or that he is additionally benevolent. So it's technically not an adjective because it's describing not a person, place, thing, or pronoun. It is describing an adjective. The word impressive, because of this and, is also describing this teacher. So you can see just in this one sentence, we have 5 different adjectives all talking about the same thing. All right? Next, we're going to look at something called a predicate adjective. A predicate adjective is a pretty simple idea as well. When we're talking about a predicate adjective, we're talking about an adjective that is in the predicate. What you should write is an adjective that follows a linking verb. And in reality, when we're talking about a predicate adjective, we're looking at adjectives that come in the predicate and come after linking verbs. That's the idea. They're in the predicate and they come after a linking verb. Hopefully a linking verb is a relatively familiar term for you because we've talked about those lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. Linking verbs, remember, can always be, so if you're thinking about linking verbs can be replaced with an equal sign. An equal sign. All right? Let's look through these sentences and see if we can find some predicate adjectives. The first thing that I would do when I look at a sentence like all of the classes with Mr. Hahn are objectively fun is I would agree with this statement. Secondly, I would look through and I would cross out any prepositional phrases. I see of the classes, and yes, it can be an adjective inside of this. The is describing classes, but we're only looking for predicate adjectives right now. We have with Mr. Hahn. Once again, we have another prepositional phrase. We can cross it out. And we are left with just the sentence, all are objectively fun. Now, in order to look at this and look for a predicate adjective, we need to find a linking verb. Which word in this sentence can be replaced with an equal sign? We look and we see this word are. Are is one of those definite linking verbs because if we replace it with an equal sign, all equals objectively fun, it still makes sense. So this right here is our linking verb. And then what we look for is a word on the right side of the linking verb that is reflecting back to the subject, all right, and is working as an adjective. The word fun is an adjective, and in this sentence, fun is actually telling us about what all are. A little bit confusing, but the subject of the sentence all is being equal to fun. And we're talking about predicate adjectives. The predicate adjective will always be linked back to the subject of the sentence. The next sentence we have this. Seventh grade humor is objectively not funny. Besides agreeing with this again, I'm going to look for a linking verb. When we look through this, there is a one word that can be replaced with an equal sign. That word would be is. Seventh grade humor equals objectively not fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this is with an equal sign. There aren't any prepositional phrases to cross out this time. And I'm looking for a word in this predicate, or the second part, that is describing something over here. I see the word funny. And I know that the word funny is a describing word. The word funny in this case is actually describing the humor. Now you're going, Mr. Hahn, objectively is also a describing word, and not is a describing word. Yes, but these describing words are all talking about how funny they are. And therefore, if they are describing another adjective that does not make them adjectives, it would make them adverbs. We'll get to more of that later. Hopefully you kind of get this idea. Some additional things to note here, all right? On this note line, write down this. My text, the idea is, when we are talking about adjectives, participles, so if you remember participles, when I'm thinking back, those are when we went through those verb forms, take is taking, took has taken. The participles were the present participle and the past participle. So the second word in that list and the fourth word in that list. Begin is beginning. Began has begun. Those words are participles. Participles are sometimes used, let me go back to my font again, as adjectives. And this can be a little bit confusing sometimes because you guys know that we have that a participle has to have a linking verb in front of it, right? The boy is running the race. The difference is that these words will be describing rather than telling you what's actually being done in the sentence. All right, let's look at a couple of examples here. It says the students were tired after the exhausting lecture. When you look through this, we can look for any words that are actually describing here. We're looking specifically for participles this time that are on the other side of the linking verb that are operating as predicate adjectives. Now, we see the word were here. Were could be replaced with an equal sign. The students equal tired after the exhausting lecture. So we put an equal sign here because that's what that means. You also notice that we have words like exhausting and the. Both of these words are describing this lecture. If you look over here, this is inside of a prepositional phrase after the lecture. Now, if we have this linking verb, we need a predicate word, and we're looking for a predicate adjective. Is there something on the right side that is a participle that is equal to the subject? And in this case, we have the word tired. Tired is telling you how the students were. This would be both a participle and a predicate adjective. Kind of interesting. Why don't you pause and see if you can do the second one? Tell me if you can find a participle that is working as a predicate adjective in the next sentence. Okay, here we go. We look at this sentence, we see that we have a couple of words in here. Many people feel excited when they see a new car. Now you can look over here and you see the word new, and you tell me that's about the car, and you see a, and you can tell me that's about the car. That's pretty easy stuff. But we're also looking over here for linking verbs. And the word in here that operates as a linking verb or can be replaced with an equal sign is actually feel. Many people equal excited when they see a new car. Now, we're looking for a verb or a participle, either the ing or the ed form, that is operating as an adjective. And when we look at this, you see that we have the word excited. And excited is telling us about these people. People equal excited. And in this case, this would once again be a participle adjective. All right, hopefully you feel relatively familiar with this idea. The only thing that's a little bit complicated is these participles because they do look like verb forms sometimes. All you have to do is take a little bit of time, slow down, make sure you're looking at what every word does. Hopefully this is pretty insightful for you. Have a good one.